I'm Jay Carter. In New Mexico, 10 people died after a pipeline exploded, and investigators may never figure out why. KVUE 24 News is next.
Next on KVUE 24 News.
She says her boss wouldn't let her speak Spanish on the job. It's a legal battle that's now getting bigger. Tonight, it's likely rescue teams trying to get to a stranded Russian submarine are too late. And the Central Texas heat is bringing a rash of grass fires. We'll show you the damage.
KVUE 24, where news comes first.
We begin tonight with the aftershocks of a legal battle that's been brewing in Austin. Good evening, everyone. Phil Scott and Aaron Fletcher both had the night off. The question, should bilingual employees be allowed to speak Spanish in front of customers? Last week, an Austin woman sued the bosses of Albertsons grocery stores. And tonight, similar allegations are coming to the surface against other businesses right here in Austin. KVUE 24's Shelton Green has that story tonight. Shelton, why are these allegations just now coming out?
Well, Jay, quite simply, it's a fear of retaliation. When this woman suing Albertsons came forward on Tuesday, her attorneys say the very next day, dozens of other people found the courage to come forward with stories that sound very similar. Some believe this lawsuit is only scratching the surface.
Albertsons is happy to pay these employees at the lowest portion of their totem pole and then demean them and castigate them for trying to attend customers that speak Spanish.
Those were a few of the allegations Tuesday levied against the grocery store Albertsons from Irma Rodriguez and her attorney. Rodriguez, a 4-year employee, worked at the Wells Branch store, one of 13 Albertsons in Austin. In her lawsuit, she alleges physical and verbal assaults from the management because she was caught speaking Spanish. She even taped one conversation.
I told both y'all no Spanish. Right?
Okay.
I mean, if you want to go to a job that you can talk all the Spanish you want, go. You are not going to do it in my store in front of my customers.
Irma was subjected to insults in Spanish and English. She was cursed at regularly. She was had food thrown at her by the store director.
Alicia Wild also represents Irma Rodriguez, the woman suing Albertsons. Wild would soon find out that Rodriguez was not alone.
They've started appearing. People have started calling and saying, this is, Irma's not the only one. Albertsons is not the only one.
One of the higher-uppers besides that came to me and told me that anybody that spoke to me in Spanish, that I had to answer in English.
This woman, so afraid to show her identity, is also joining in on the lawsuit. She doesn't work for Albertsons and doesn't want us to disclose her employer.
I was told that if I continued speaking Spanish, that it was advisable for me to look for another job.
But that's perfectly legal in Texas, says Doug Laycock, a UT law professor. It is not discriminatory to tell bilingual employees that they can speak English only, but it is a trend that may be changing.
More recently, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission issued guidelines that say that's wrong. It is discrimination to fire people for speaking Spanish, and that is clearly a basis for the court to reconsider its decisions.
Now, I'm told that 10 other lawsuits have been filed in 25 other states, also alleging employee violations against Albertsons. In response, the grocery store claims, and I quote, Albertsons is firmly committed to equal opportunity for all of its associates. We do not have and have not had an English-only rule or policy in the workplace. Jay.
So I'm wondering, Shelton, in these lawsuits, what exactly are the employees asking for?
Well, Jay, the woman suing Albertsons is asking for $300,000 for pain and suffering. It's not clear yet what these new plaintiffs are going to be asking for.
All right, keep an eye on those cases, Shelton. Thanks. Divers have just recovered the body tonight of a missing swimmer on Lake Travis. He disappeared near Bob Wentz Park at Wendy Point. The Travis County Sheriff's Department says a group of friends were swimming just after 7 o'clock. One man saw another go under the water, and he never reappeared. The victim's name has not been released tonight. Today, 2 brush fires definitely rattled some nerves in 2 central Texas towns. The one near Manor took the longest to put out, but it is under control this evening. The fire started around 5:30 and spread across about 50 to 60 acres. It took 6 volunteer firefighting agencies along with Travis County and even a helicopter to fight this fire. Residents living nearby could only watch and wait to see what the fire would do next.
If the wind was blowing in our direction, I would have a lot more at risk, but luckily the wind's blowing more to the north, and so all the fire is going away from the house.
The wind has played a pretty good factor. We've probably, I don't know, 5-10 mile an hour wind, and in the north, it's running to the north on us, and that's what has been pushing it, flaming it pretty good.
Firefighters say the brush fire affected several acres of private land, but fortunately never reached any structures. High winds also made things worse in Taylor this afternoon. Firefighters thought they had contained this fire to about half an acre, but as soon as they started to leave, it flared back up again. The fire was finally stopped at 20 acres, but it came dangerously close to a house and a barn.
Like I said, when I first showed up, it was headed towards a house and a barn, and that's what I was concentrating on, getting that put out. If the wind wouldn't have changed, I would have been able to get it out, but then the wind changed and it started blowing it this way.
Firefighters believe a spark from an electrical fence started this brush fire. Certainly a good reminder that we need to be careful in weather like this, right, Curtis?
That's absolutely true. Need to encourage everyone, of course, on Mopac with the fires we had earlier or had last week, not to throw lit cigarettes out the window. It's a very dangerous thing to do. As a matter of fact, do anything you can. Don't even throw out Coke bottles, things like that, because those can cause enough heat that the grass could ignite. So be extremely careful. And there does not appear to be any immediate relief for us. We're looking for clear skies overnight and sunny skies tomorrow with a high near 99 and no mention of rain. Slight chance in our 5-day forecast. I'll have that coming up.
Investigators are on the scene at a campsite in New Mexico tonight trying to figure out what caused an explosion that killed 10 people. 5 children and 5 adults died in Saturday's blast. They had been camping near a bridge that carries a natural gas pipeline over the Pecos River. The explosion left a crater 20 feet deep and melted sleeping bags and tents. A hunter in the area reported seeing a huge ball of fire. The flames quickly charred 3 pickup trucks nearby.
And the evidence out there at the scene indicates it was horrendously hot. It incinerated everything in its path.
The National Transportation Safety Board has investigators at the scene, but officials aren't sure they'll ever be able to determine what caused that explosion. The Russian Navy is holding little hope tonight for the 118 men trapped inside a sunken Russian submarine. A Norwegian dive team has not been able to open the escape hatch on the submarine despite working on the problem for most of the day and night. The sub went down in the Barents Sea last week following at least one explosion on board. Again, that was last week, and that's when Russian military leaders believe that most of the men on board were killed. One of the most congested parts of I-35 is getting a makeover starting tomorrow. It is a project that may slow you down a little bit until it's finished. The state is building 3 bridges over the interstate at FM 1325 in Round Rock. The bridges are going to give drivers a chance to make U-turns over the interstate without having to go through traffic lights. The bridges will also help clear up traffic near Dell Computer Corporation and several major shopping centers.
Well, you can look at it now. This is a Sunday and it's a congested intersection, and certainly on weekdays it's even worse, and during peak times it's really bad.
Construction workers will not block off any of the lanes on I-35, but they'll probably cause interstate traffic to slow down since they're going to be working so close to cars. The project begins Monday night, and it could take a year to finish. Plans to help solve Austin's traffic problems are just now starting to take shape. Before you vote on light rail this November, Capital Metro plans a series of public meetings over the next 2 weeks. Now, to get federal money for light rail, they have to hold these meetings to find out what you think. The first public meeting is at 6:30 tomorrow night, 701 West 51st is the address. And if you miss that meeting, you can get the other meeting times and read up on the issues at KVUE.com. Just click on web links. 99 degrees was our high temperature today in Austin, and even in that kind of weather, there's a kind of heat that I guess you could say a lot of us in Texas can stand.
Oh my God!
Welcome to the Texas Fiery Food Show, which happened at happened at Palmer Auditorium this weekend. You can find everything from salsas to spices, sausages to salad dressings, pestos, potato chips, jams, and jellies, you name it. Definitely a sampler smorgasbord of all things spicy.
I knew there was going to be great food, and I didn't take a shower because I knew I was going to sweat a lot.
Folks in Austin have been preparing their palates for this show for about 4 years now. It's an annual event that claims to offer the largest collection of fiery cuisine in the great state of Texas.
Well, if you took the creature out of the movie Alien and turned it into a vegetable, it would be hydrilla.
An ugly problem is growing in one of Austin's most beautiful landmarks. And find out what movies this weekend had audiences on the edge of their seats. Hydrilla is becoming a big headache in Lake Austin. The weed was first officially detected in the water last summer. Since then, it has spread from 25 acres to more than 150, and it's not stopping. KVUE 24's Kim Barnes tonight takes a look at the problem and what's being done to try to manage this mess.
Here under one of Austin's prettiest landmarks, there's a growing problem.
On the surface, there's these huge mats. I can barely pull this up myself right now.
The stuff Larry McKinney's talking about is hydrilla. As a biologist for Texas Parks and Wildlife, McKinney spends a lot of time dealing with this exotic waterweed.
If you took the creature out of the movie Alien and turned it into a vegetable, it would be hydrilla.
Hydrilla most likely came from Asia and has spread to Texas from Florida, taking over native plants. It's usually brought and spread by boat and can grow an inch or two a day.
Mostly, it just grows so fast and has so many ways to reproduce itself that once it gets established, it's just like an explosion. It just goes crazy.
Crazy is what the weed's driving many boaters.
It gets tangled in your propeller, your speedometers don't work, you don't know how fast you're going. When it's in your propeller, you lose control a little bit, you don't have the steering that you normally have.
Patty Allen watches where she wades. A friend recently got caught in the hydrilla and had to call for help.
I was twisted around her ankle and her foot, and I just had to pull her, but it did come loose.
Texas Parks and Wildlife is going to be trying an experiment in the next couple of weeks here at Lake Austin to try to get rid of some of the pesky plant. Biologists are going to be bringing in a sort of water lawnmower to cut up the hydrilla, see if a mechanical option might work. Even so, McKinney says there's no way to get rid of all the hydrilla, just hopefully control it. That includes boaters making sure they're not taking hydrilla with them when they leave the water. Kim Barnes, KVUE 24 News.
And make sure that your boat motor gets cleaned up after a trip out there on Lake Austin, because even if it's an accident, if you take hydrilla from the lake and into other areas, you could be fined up to $2,000 a plant. Coming up next, being out on the water, probably the way to go this weekend. Meteorologist Curtis Nichols tells us how much longer triple-digit temperatures will last.
20%, but we could take anything we could get and we'll watch the Gulf and see if anything pops up out there.
Hey, let's hold on to some hope here.
That's right.
All right, thanks a lot. It is a crucial battleground for presidential candidates. Al Gore and George W. Bush duking it out over the states in the Midwest. And the big flicks duke it out on the big screen this weekend. Here's one that scored with audiences. We'll tell you the other ones right after this. In the race for the White House, Al Gore is continuing his presidential campaign by addressing voter apathy.
But don't let anybody ever tell you it doesn't make a difference.
Gore told a crowd in Moline, Illinois today that he's running for president because he wants to make things better for American families. Tomorrow will be the final leg of Gore's post-convention riverboat tour.
In our highest poverty schools cannot read a simple children's book.
And these George W. Bush ads began airing today in 21 states. It pledges to renew the promise of America's public schools. A Bush spokesperson says the airtime that they purchased for the 30-second spots are the largest purchase they've made so far in the campaign. Bush took a break from campaigning today. He starts up again tomorrow with stops in Wisconsin and Iowa. Well, if you're looking for true love, you know by now probably that it's not very easy. But there's a new poll that says that most singles believe that they will find and marry their perfect mate. The Time CNN poll finds that 79% of men and women believe that there is a special someone out there just for them. But if they couldn't find their perfect match, more men than women said that they would just go ahead and marry somebody else. As for what's important in a mate, women consider financial security or humor to be the best trait in men. Then men, on the other hand, say that they find intelligence and beauty to be the biggest draw. Well, the biggest draw at the box office this weekend stars an actress who can also carry a tune. Jennifer Lopez stars in the thriller The Cell. It is a movie about a dark journey into the mind of a murderer. It brought in an estimated $17 million in its first weekend at the box office. Spike Lee's documentary style, The Original Kings of Comedy, opened at #2. Then you got Space Cowboys, The Replacements, and What Lies Beneath rounding out the weekend's top 5. Coming up next in sports, the Cowboys hoping to right the ship heading into the preseason finale this week, while the roar of the Tiger could be heard once again around the world. David Johnson has sports next. A lot of us were watching, wondering if Tiger Woods would be able to pull it off again.
I was back there in the back screaming. I was bothering Curtis again. You know how it is, golf and me. Hey, not many people. Rusty Wallace wins the Pepsi 400 up at the Michigan Speedway. That's sports.
All right, thank you very much. Going to be hot this week.
Yes, sir. Only a slight chance of rain midweek, and I mean a tiny one.
All right, thanks for watching. We'll see you next weekend.